Hi, I'm Nalini, and welcome to June 2025. Can you imagine that? 25. I remember at the turning of the millennium, I was working in software at the time, so it was a big deal. But remembering then and wondering what would unfold, how will we unfold? And this June, whether it's midwinter or midsummer for you in your part of the world as we approach the solstice, is an unfolding. Will it come from chaos? Yes, because all unfoldings do. Has any birth ever been just pristine and pretty? There are traditions that say so. I'm not sure. This is about an inner and outer unfolding. So if we look at the architecture of this world, all the worlds, between the worlds, any lifetime, one of my preferred symbols for this is the flower of life. This design, now this has been brilliantly articulated in the books by Drunvalo Melchizedek. I understand that he's updating some of that now, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's true, because all archetypes, all structures, all cosmic sacred geometry is upgrading, reweaving at this time. Does that mean everything's all going to go kablooey first? Well, it's doing that, isn't it? But no, there's always an underlying dance, what's called the dance, the sacred dance, the cosmic dance, which is ever fluid. We are an embodiment of fluidity and takes form that often is designed simply by human perception. Some brilliant mind perceives the divine in a certain way and articulates that, hopefully, from the heart. And this has happened over and over and over and over as long as there have been humans on the planet. And there have been a few cycles of that. So what is unfolding now is a weaving, a conjunction, a coalescing of not just various traditions, archetypes, practices, all of which is happening, but of the flowering therein and thereof. So, for example, some of what weaves through this embodiment are the Vedas. I have had a lifelong enamored, absolute adoration for the Vedic tradition, the Vedas themselves, the essence, the transmissions of what comes through. Now, have a lot of those practices and studies been co-opted by the patriarchy? Yes, but haven't they all? But what comes through that is this beautiful flowering of consciousness, which is what it's all about, consciousness experienced in joy. And no, a lot of our lives don't seem to have joy in it. And my observation is that that's largely because we have been badly trained, badly conditioned, or faultily conditioned, not anyone's fault really, that's not the premise upon which we must build a life, and it is. I'm not talking about just go do what you love. Yes, there's something to that, but no, this is what unfolds, what wells up from within you, because you are, in your embodiment, a sacred well. So, examples. So from the Vedas, we have the archetypes of Lakshmi, Durga Kali, Sarasvati, petals, anthropomorphic archetypal energies of the embodiment of grace, each having their different archetypes, their attributes, and the human mind finds that easier to approach. Yeah. So each one of those unfolding, beautiful unfoldment within us, if we practice, sing the mantras, do the forms, to let that rise up from within our core, our central core, like our central sun. We are a solar system in each cell and in our bodies. Or from Vajrayana Buddhism, the 21 taras, the mandala of the 21 taras. Each one slightly different color, so a slightly different vibration, all culminating in the whole that is White Tara, Noble Lady Tara. She who is compassion, kindness, and the protector of all that is life-sustaining. Then we move into other traditions. the Celtic being near and dear to this heart, so the two a day runs through it. We have Bridget, home, heart, hearth, and health. We have Coventina, Lady of the Waters. There are many, many feminine, what we would say, and we're not exactly right about that, are we? But nurturing, nourishing archetypes that come through that, including the Morrigan, who is fierce, a fierce warrioress, like Athena, like others in other traditions. Every tradition has these archetypal forms. So one petal of this flower is the Vedas, Vajrayana Buddhism, the Celtic wisdom, Druidry, in all of its purest, most heart-based traditions of walking a sacred path in this body, as this body, in this life, and ladling that resonance, that radiance, that light, however it seems most joyful to us to do so. And our children, the next generations, need to be taught that, need to remember that grace, that peace, that power, and that joy. Or the tradition of the oracles, the nymphs, the sibyls, the devas, the fairy world, the fae, that exists here among us at this moment. Not something to be considered as an invader. I think we did that to this world, the human form anyway. But no, it's feeling these spokes. So if you can feel these spokes of the grand design of the wheel, of the Sophia, the creatrix of all of life that nurtures, nourishes, accepts, supports, and cherishes each cell in our bodies, each cell, each filament within this body, our human body, within the green world, rocks, earth, stone, and tree, the rootedness in this world, because we are of this world in these bodies. It is ours to take care of and to revere, not as some deity outside ourselves, but as the divine within all of us. So the flower of life design pervades all of these traditions. I happen to touch fingers and toes into the ones I've mentioned. All have their beautiful, beautiful archetypes. Each of one a petal on the flower of life with attributes and aspects and beauty and joy, and just exquisite in their intricacy. These are chambers of the heart, the divine heart, and the divine heart that lives within each and all of us. On one of my Celtic excursions, because the Celtic lands live here, I was visiting a power spot, which is also a prime tourist destination, and the two commingle sadly in the human world. If there were a little more respect, I think it would go better, but I happened to be there. It was just about to storm, and so the tourists had fled. And I was walking around in not a trance state, but a meditative state, and perceiving just the beauty of the fauna, the flora in the rocks and the landscape. And there's a dragon that lives there of my acquaintance. And she showed up in a different symbolic form than I'm used to seeing. And so it made me pause for a moment and look and say, oh, okay, that's different. Is that like a door handle or a portal? Because all such places are portals. All such places within us are portals. And there was no answer. There was simply a bursting of that form, and the maw of the dragon swallowed me. And it was not at all a fear experience. It was amazing. And where I was taken was not to be chomped and digested. Human fears go there, but it wasn't that at all. It was to be taken into these vast realms of heart. What could be called, again, we're speaking metaphorically, symbolically, the dragon heart. All these vast chambers. And I noticed how There was a chamber for the Vedas. There was a chamber for the 21 Taras. There was a chamber for the oracular magic. There was a chamber for the Druid way of walking. There were chambers for other ways, like the Marys, Christian Gnosticism. All of that, all of these are flavors of this divine design. And within that vast heart, I was able to look at these various chambers and see which ones I had traversed, which ones might be completely unknown to me, and how they were all weaving. And there was a new weave, a new threading that was bringing fresh weft into a new warp of the weaving of the worlds. And I came out of the trance or meditative state or whatever it was, tears running down my face, the entire landscape lit up gold, blue, white, and a thunderstorm on the horizon. And the land said to me, go now. And I have learned through many years of experience to listen to this. So I kind of made my way back to the car park. And the minute that I got into the car and closed the door, it just started to pour. What a gift of water. The gift of that air, and the gift of the electricity, the light, the fire that was coming down in these lightning bolts and just blessing the earth, conjoining with the earth. Have we forgotten that? And had I forgotten that place within me, that central place that is rooted in this earth that flows with all tides, where new currents, new ripples are forming in the new tides within which Gaia moves. Had I forgotten that? Not entirely, no. But it was a wonderful reminder. This month, this June 2025, is a reminder of that unfolding. So what are the petals, what are the blossoms, the spectacular, intricate flowers that bloom within you and maybe are yet to be discovered? Does anything light up and sparkle or dissolve that catches your fancy? Why not? Why not be divinely curious about this unfolding and let that joy come through the roots of you, come through all of the morphogenetic unfoldings that you have been and will be, and let that manifest something absolutely magical, wonderful, divinely aligned within the unfolding Sophia that is all of life. Now, you may call it something else. You may believe it is genderized. You're free to do that here. Whatever lights up your heart. But letting that just unfold and radiate through your field from your heart. And this June will be memorable as a marker in your incarnation. I wish you the joy of it.